Hello, lads and ladies. How are we doing? Sunday evening, the 22nd of December. 3 days before, 4 days until the big day, Boxing Day, innit? Who cares about Christmas Day? It's all about Boxing Day. Get me there. League One, 11 games to discuss. We had 3 on Friday, 8 on Saturday, and we've got 1 game on Monday evening as Crawley take on Birmingham City in Sky Bet League One. We had 4-0 written all over it. We had 5-0 written all over it as well. We had home wins, and the table looks... You start looking at the Sky Bet League One table at Christmas. How have you Fluke been in the playoffs? They've not won for 70 matches, and they're in the playoffs. Can I just ask you, does that not show you how bad League One is this year in that department? The top 4 are miles above the rest, and you and Barnsley are a point of the playoffs. You're in the playoffs, and no one, you've not even got up above a 7 out of 10 yet. No disrespect to those 2 clubs, but are in the playoff talk.
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I think us and Barnes have been decent. We've not been solid, but we're getting there. But yeah, like I've always told you, Ben, you look at the table on Christmas. You don't prat about looking at it the 3rd week in November when you tried to have a look at it earlier.
If Lincoln were top of the table, would you want to have a look?
No, mate, because it'd be pointless, wouldn't it? We've been top of this league before. At this point last year, I think we were not last year. In 2020, we were certainly. I think we might have been top.
Did you have a good season that year, by any chance?
Yeah, we did actually. Although you took 4 points off, as I seem to remember.
We did. Well, I'll tell you what. All I will say is it's been probably the most, in some departments, the best weekend of my life. And the other department, an absolute pain. You might notice my mother is missing from the chat. If you are normally in the chat, she's currently not very well in hospital, so I do send my regards to her as well. So hopefully that everything can get sorted with her as well. It's very weird having a place on your own when you're not used to it as well. So then the manager of the football club has been sacked, and hard because someone that I built up a really good relationship with and liked. No, more Charlie Adam. I liked and wanted to do well as well. And it really hurt me, those last few results. And I really wanted to win yesterday for Charlie Adam. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. And we're on the hunt for a 7th manager in 4 years. But
how was your co-coms, Ben?
Co-coms went really well. I did co-commentary yesterday for anyone that doesn't know for BBC Radio Lancashire. So, yeah. Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat as well. If you could like the show as well, subscribe, all that jazz. And Shane has come in with a donation. He's a legend, Shane. He's often gifting to the channel, and it does mean a lot. So, Sky Bet League One time. Let's go through the action. There could have been about 4 results that could go top of this as well. But we had to go for Northampton 0, Jake. Charlton 5. And Northampton have just won 1 of their last 7 league games against Charlton Athletic. In total, they've drawn the other one. They've conceded 20 times in that period. 5 yesterday. Charlton have been blamed for being a bit cautious and not scoring goals and winning games of football. Yesterday, we really saw when they're at full throttle what they can do.
Yeah, but we've not seen that all season, Ben, have we? Yesterday was the first time that we'd properly seen it. They were just clinical, weren't they, in front of goal? We sort of bigged up the signing of Greg Doherty when he signed in the summer. We highlighted him as a potential strong point. Thought he was excellent. Yesterday, obviously, he's come in and taken the armband. They were very good yesterday going forward, defensively as well. And I know Northampton have had their struggles recently going forward. I also think the issue at Northampton at the moment, Ben, is the managerial situation. Obviously, John Brady walked out on the club. What was it? Must be getting on to nearly 3 weeks ago now.
2.5 weeks.
And it just seems a little bit like it's gone stale. Like Samo is a club legend, and he got the win over Peterborough, which sort of gave him another level of goatedness, I suppose, in the Northampton fan base, but it feels like it's gone a bit sour. The 3-0 defeat to Rotherham, where they played really tepidly, and then yesterday it was just comical. Some of the defending for the goals was horrific. So yeah, I think Northampton are at that point, similar to what I think what every football club goes through in terms of when you have that interim manager and it just gets a little bit stale. We were the same with Tom Shaw, I think, at the end of his stint, obviously, apart from the 3 points he got at Highbury in his little run. But it can happen when someone who's not, who it's not relevant, is it? Yeah, I know. But I think it can happen, when someone is in charge and they know they're not going to be the long-term successor to John Brady. It sort of gets a bit stale. I think Northampton are at the point where they just need a manager. But you take nothing away from Charlton. They were absolutely fantastic yesterday, and they needed it really, didn't they? On the run that they've been on the season now into the top half. I feel like they've had a fairly decent reaction from that defeat to Crawley. So Nathan Jones must be really proud of that reaction. But yeah, really good result. Fantastic win for Charlton.
Charlton had only scored 18 in the previous 19 games. 5 goals yesterday. And Miles Leeburn also coming back into the squad recently as well and getting a goal. Campbell also getting a goal as well. Greg Doherty excellent in that midfield. And Luke Berry again showing his fine arts as well. His first assist of the Sky Bet League One season. Really good for him as well. And Charlton have had to go unbeaten in their last 4 away games against Northampton, winning 3 of which now as well. And that was Charlton's biggest away victory since April 2021. Can you tell me who they beat? And it was bigger than 5-0. So it has to be 6 or more.
So Charlton won 6+0 away from home in 2021.
April.
Ooh.
So a team that are in a different league to League One now.
Oh.
Not the way you might probably think.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
We covered this game.
And Hull?
Plymouth.
Plymouth.
Apparently, we covered it. I went back to my channel. I was like, I don't remember this game.
Nappers, we said about... Sorry, we spoke about this on T-Flop earlier, didn't we?
We did. There you are.
I've done that much things today, mate. I've had no idea.
Keep the likes coming. Keep the questions coming as well. Subscribe if you haven't already. If I'm honest with you, Zach, things have slightly... changed in my life recently as well, so I wanted to keep it going. Unfortunately, for now, I've had to keep it at a stop.
Sean Dyche
Cambridge nil. It's 4-0 written all over it. 4-0 written all over it at the Abbey. Cambridge United 0, Huddersfield 4, and that meant Huddersfield are now unbeaten in their last 11 league games, winning 8, drawing 3, scoring at least 2 goals in at least 7 of their last 9 matches, scoring 4 of which in this one, carrying on their impressive second half comeback against the mighty Lincoln City. Before this one, Cambridge United were unbeaten across their last 5 home league games, winning 3, drawing 2, and haven't enjoyed a longer run at the Abbey since March 2022, where they went 6 games unbeaten. And Cambridge United have only won 1 of their last 19 Football League games now against Huddersfield Town, drawing 7, losing 11. Their last victory came on Jake's year of birth in April 1977. Huddersfield slowly turning the dial. Now, I've said that Huddersfield are winning games of football, but they're not been very impressive. You can't say nothing about that again. Spencer Kasumu, who I labelled to you as last week as, in my opinion, the best player on the park for them as well. I thought the best 2 players on the park last week was Arahan and Kasumu, and it was really interesting to see that battle as well. Marshall up there getting a brace as well. You look at it, Huddersfield now are 20 games, nearly 2 points a game at 39. They scored 3 more goals than Wrexham, scored the same amount of goals as Birmingham. Yes, they played 2 goals more, and they've conceded less goals than Wycombe. They only conceded a couple more than Birmingham as well. They have conceded 4 more than Wrexham, but their overall data was really good. A plus goal difference of 16 as well. In the playoffs by 8 points. I just think there's a massive gap now between Wycombe, Birmingham, Wrexham and Huddersfield and the rest of the pack. I think there's 2 spaces available for anyone, really. Great result for them. The Cambridge, not too worried because they've been on a bit of a good run, and they've got the points up to 17. The 4 points off the drop, but with Northampton, Bristol Rovers and Rotherham's form, they can easily get out of it, but need to stop losing, sloppy goals. 35 goals conceded now, Jake.
Yeah, Huddersfield are a bit good at football, Ben. When they want to be, I'll stress, because that first half we saw last week, they were not very good at football. But since that half-time team talk, I don't know what Michael Duff said to them. They've been absolutely outstanding. Yeah, again, on Friday night, they were electric going forward. Just, that first half especially, lots of dominance. Although Cambridge had had the spells, they opened up brightly and had a spell halfway through, but it was Huddersfield dominance pretty much all the way through that first half. Kasumu, very good. Like you say, we highlighted him last week. Brody Spencer, he came on as a sub last week, but played really well on that left-hand side of the back three. And then Callum Marshall was the one that I really intrigued to talk to you about, Ben, because there's been a lot of talk about Huddersfield and a certain striker that they were meant to get in the summer.
I thought he played for Lincoln.
So did I. He did actually. He did. He doesn't anymore, and he won't do anymore. But with the return of all this talk of Joe Taylor maybe coming into Huddersfield, I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on someone like Callum Marshall, and he's really stepped up to it. I mean, the way he took his goals yesterday looked like someone that's played a lot more football than what he has. A 9.4 match rating, 2 goals. He was absolutely outstanding. And what impressed me about Callum Marshall when I watched him in person last week, just his ability to stretch the game. Like Huddersfield didn't have any. It felt like Huddersfield don't have a huge amount of pace in their team until someone like Callum Marshall comes on the pitch and he's able to really get in behind defenders. And Cambridge, I don't know, Ben, if you've seen a lot of Cambridge this year, they really seem to struggle with pace, whether that be out wide or centrally. You've got Okadina, not very quick. Kellen Watt's not quick. Michael Morrison in the middle of that defence is quite slow as well. And they've got Danny Andrew, who's must be getting on for 34, 35 now, playing as a left wing back. So, yeah, he's been really impressive. Obviously, you've got your normal outstanding performers in Ben Wiles in midfield, as well as Halleck at the back. But, yeah, they've just gone on a really good run at the minute, Huddersfield. And, I think they are well and truly in the top 2 race, maybe not the title race, but certainly in with a sniff of the top 2. And that's 4 wins from 5 now, Ben. They're starting to turn into some good form. But, it's all well and good having the form now. It's when it gets to the back end of the season. That's when they're going to need to continue to turn it on. If we know Michael Duff teams, then they're certainly probably going to do that.
There must be a fever in the Sky Bet League One because it's 4-0 Wigan all over it, fever. Unfortunately, not quite at Fratton Park. Unlucky Tom. Thank you very much to Coventry City for getting that early goal yesterday.
Well done, Bissett. Lots of love.
I'd love Paul's have win 3-0, 4-1, 5-2 every week. Just not 4-0, please. Leyton Orient 4-0 win at Barnsley was their largest away win since October 29, where they beat Grimsby Town, who also lost 3-1 yesterday in Ian Holloway's 1,000th game. It was their biggest ever away victory in the EFL in Yorkshire. Prior to this one, Barnsley were unbeaten in their last 6 league games against Leyton Orient, winning 4 of which, conceding just 3 goals in total during that time. However, Leyton Orient's start to the game meant a few Barnsley fans left the arena before the end of the game as well. As prior to this one, Leyton Orient have won just 2 of their last 22 league games away at against Barnsley, only losing 17 of which, and they just kept 1 clean sheet. Well, they can add to that now as well. And Leyton Orient had also, before the game, only had 65 shots in their League 1 away games this year. Yesterday, they had 10. Again, still the fewest in the division, but again, a much better display from Richie Welland's men. Slowly but surely, Jake, we're seeing a Leyton Orient team turn the dial a little bit. They're only 6 points off yourselves with a game in hand. They have now won 7, drawn 4, lost 9. And a record for Leyton Orient, you think, is pretty fair based on the squad as well. And this run all started with that victory against Blackpool, where they won 3-0. Went away at Stevenage, drew 0-0. Lost at home to Huddersfield 2-0. But since then, beat Bristol Rovers, Leyton Orient, drew to Burton at home and beat Barnsley. So you look at it there, there's 4 good wins. He beat Oldham in the Cup, had to come from behind to win that one as well. Look at it, they've won 5 of the last 6 in all competitions. Slowly but surely, turning the dial. And they've got 5 consecutive clean sheets in all comps, 4 in the league as well. Richie Welland's, again, adapting to it a little bit, making those few changes as well. And, by the 51st minute, the game was game, set, and match. But I tell you what, how easy is it to play away at Barnsley? The amount of goals they concede there, not just this year, but over the last few years. But Barnsley's record at Oakwell is in the top 4 worst in the division, and they've actually played more games. They've got the same amount of points at home as Crawley do, and Crawley played 2 games less. 19 goals conceded at Oakwell. If I say I don't want to go get up, nah, not for me, that.
They've won 18% of their home games in 2024. For a team that wants to be in the playoffs and competing to get out of the league, that's not good enough. And I completely understand your praise for Leyton Orient. They did the basics really well yesterday. What I think Orient did better and way better than Barnsley was that they adapted to the conditions. Obviously, I don't know if you've seen the highlights or seen Taylor's excellent video on the game yesterday. It was windy, to say the least, and it was really difficult to play football. But I thought Leyton Orient did that really well. They got the ball down. They won second balls. You know, they asked questions of Barnsley, whereas Barnsley almost asked no questions of them. And I don't know what it is about this home hoodoo, if you will. Barnsley just really struggling to do the basics. You know, you're looking across that team, Ben. No player got on more than a 7.0 match rating.
That trusted data to go off for a show. Yeah, he didn't get a 7 rating. Scott from Halifax didn't give him an over 7 rated.
Well, yeah, but you compare that to
I'm not being funny. Do you really look at ratings after it? Because I look at Fleetwood the other day when we were poor.
If you've not
James Bolton was given man of the match, and I'm like, well, I came away thinking he was the worst player on the pitch for us.
Well, if you've not been to a game and not been able to cover it in as much detail as maybe you
should be watching every single game 90 minutes as soon as you get home.
I would do, mate, but I have been extremely busy today, and I'm sure you are well aware of that. This is now technically my 4th event of today. So
is it?
It is, because we did 2.
I just think you're turning into Michael Scabala there, making excuses.
Right, okay. But still,
read the room, Jake.
Leave the room. By the way, where is Susan? She should be here. I'm surprised that we've not had her yet because we've won. So, yeah, no, Barnsley. I don't know, mate. I mean, Darryl Clark went over to the fans and sort of insinuated that it wasn't good enough. They were really poor. They were really, really poor. And like I say, Leyton Orient just did the basics really well. Jamie Donnelly, he's growing in impact, I think, throughout the team. Ollie O'Neill, we've sort of seen over the last sort of maybe 7 or 8 months in terms of league football, how much he's progressed since his move from Fulham. And Omar Beckle's really dependable. What I'm really interested in, Ben, is Ethan Galbraith playing as a right back. Obviously, he's normally, having seen him play for Donny, obviously came through the Man United youth. He's been he'll play like a number 10 predominantly, but he's been utilised as a right back. I'm really intrigued to see. I mean, I know there's Parmex in the chat who's an Orient fan. Really intrigued to see how that works, because it feels to me like a little bit like a Trent Alexander-Arnold style thing, because clearly Galbraith has all the technical ability to cope at this level. You'd think he gets caught out, certainly against a good fullback like George again, but clearly the clean sheet suggests that he didn't. So, yeah, look, Richie Wellens going to the club that he was linked to in the summer and turning them over 4-0. Really good win for Orient, and a really good run that they're on, like you mentioned there, Ben. They're slowly but surely starting to climb away from that bottom 4. And to be honest, Ben, when they were down there, did we think, Leyton Orient are going to finish?
I said that, didn't I? I said that live on air. I went Leyton Orient a much better side, and I don't think they're going to be there at the end of the year. A side that I do think are going to be there at the end of the year. I don't want to put my neck on the line here when I say this. I think people think, oh, it's a controversial take, this, but I think Burton might be in some troubles this year. Again, Burton have only won 3 home matches in 2024. Exeter City had come from behind to win their first league game in 7 matches, their first away victory since October, where they beat Shrewsbury Town away from home as well. So beating those teams again, not as good as them, that they are better, and that's what Exeter do so well. A little bit like Mansfield did earlier this year as well. Before this one, Exeter were winless in their last 6 games, last enjoying a longer run between September and December last year as well. Good result, Gary Bowyer's first game in charge, and the first time that the Blues have scored from a set piece this season as well. Unfortunately, it ends in defeat, but Gary Bowyer, steady pair of hands, Jake.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the assist from Elliot Watt, but it's an absolute stunner. It's an absolute stunner. He just rolls it about half a yard, for Billy Bowden to strike it. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it was an inspiring appointment. I thought the way that Burton had gone in the summer, I thought they would try something similar. NFG have sort of spoke up how they want to be really progressive. And Gary Bowyer, does he scream progressive to you, Ben? Because he doesn't really for me, but he seems like a steady pair of hands. I mean, I watched his post-match after the game yesterday, and I really liked it. I thought he came across as quite humorous, certainly when speaking about Josh McGuinness and the work that he thinks is needed. But what I think the really important thing is getting him in now is they've sort of got this 3-game spell before the January window. It's almost like a mini pre-season. And I remember we say this almost every year when a manager gets appointed around December. It's a mini pre-season, and hopefully, if Fleetwood are going to get their act together, they might be able to offer their new manager something similar. And Oxford, they've done the same with Gary Rowett. They've got 3 games now to assess. Gary Bowyer's got 3 games to assess which of these Burton players are going to be good enough in the long term going forward for the way he wants to play and he wants to set them up. In the short term, I think it could well end up becoming a good appointment. I just query it in the long term because he doesn't scream someone that you want to build a project around, whereas Mark Robinson sort of did feel a little bit like that, if you get what I mean. But yesterday, I think there was improvement. They made chances. There was a really good save from Joe Whitworth. They tested Exeter. Hey?
Super Joe Whitworth.
It was, and they probably could have scored more than the one. And what they did allow was Exeter to come onto them, and they gave the ball away way too much. They sat deep, and we know Exeter have got the quality to score, and the pressure told them they got the equaliser. But what I wanted to talk to you about, Ben, is like I know you said not to ask you about particular Millenick Alley. You must have seen this in some capacity.
Yeah.
It is absolutely sensational. It might well have been one of the best goals I've seen, and I'll give a shout out. There's a Burton supporters do a vlog. I think it's called S&J Brewers TV or something along those lines. Stephen Jack.
No, I don't do vloggers. Vloggers shouldn't exist in football. Could never be me.
I completely agree.
It's some hit though, isn't it?
It's a great
pass. It all starts from that pass. I think was it Woods who makes the pass out wide, who just spreads it, and it's a really good cutting into that top corner.
And we know Ali's got the technical ability because we've seen it before. He's been really one of Exeter's bright sparks so far this season. So yeah, great
celebration for me, brilliant.
It completely matches it. It was a good win for Exeter, but yeah, I mean. I don't know. I just see this Gary Bowyer appointment as a short-term thing. I don't see it as a long-term I don't know what you think about that, Ben. I don't see Gary Bowyer leading Burton. Let's say, and I know a lot of Burton fans might disagree, but let's say Burton get relegated because that's quite highly likely. Is Gary Bowyer the man to lead them back into League One? I don't think he is.
I like Gary Bowyer. I would have had him at Fleetwood when we appointed Charlie Adam. And I said that. I like Gary Bowyer. I think he's did a very good job at Salford under difficult circumstances. He won't have you playing pretty fast on the front foot football. It'll be direct, it'll be physical, and it'll be second balls win. And he's not a real motivator, but he's a calm figure, and you get the same out of him when you win, lose, or draw. That's what I'd say about him. And he's a calm figure. I like him. I think he's a good manager. I think it'll be a case of a bit like Fleetwood. Burton Albion will go down, but they'll go down with a bit of a fight now, and they'll win a few games, and they'll think, right, he's done enough to probably warrant his own squad, be backing to bring us back up. I don't know if it'll be a great long-term appointment if he can do that, but I think that Gary, I don't know how long the contract was. I don't recall that being said. I don't know if that's been said anywhere. Have I missed that? But normally that's not normally a great sign. We didn't know how long Charlie Adam was. I think it was a 12-month rolling contract from what I hear as well. But no, it's an interesting appointment to say the least. And look, I think it's a good one. I think it's a poor one considering it's made 55 days. If they get that appointment 55 days ago, I think it would have been a lot better appointment. I generally do. Friday night football saw Stockport County take on Peterborough, and Peterborough have lost each of the last 6 away games, now losing 6 in a row for the first time since January 2022. 2. Again, when Peterborough are on it, they're on it, but when they're off it, they are so off it. Before this one, Stockport County had lost 5 of their last 7 league games against Peterborough, winning the other 2 as well. This was the first meeting since a 1-0 win for the Posh back in April 2009. And Stockport have won 12 of their last 16 home matches at Edgeley Park, drawing 2, losing 2, keeping a clean sheet in 9 of those victories, showing you how good they are at home. An unbelievable day at Edgeley Park under the lights. In my eyes, there's not a lot of places better in this division than Edgeley Park on a Friday night under the lights as well. Now, especially before Christmas as well, it's a superb result for them when you look at it as well. Again, Louis Barry getting a goal off eye at the end of the game as well. Joe Randall did, get Posh's goal. Louis Barry, a goal and assist. 14 goals, 3 assists now for that man, I think it is. However, news today, Jake, that he's been recalled from Aston Villa. And again, what a player he's been for them. When you're looking at, he's got pretty much half their goals with goals and assists. It's a heartbreaker, isn't it? Never fall in love with a lone player.
Louis Barry didn't score that on Friday night. It was Owen Bailey.
Owen Bailey, sorry.
He got 2 assists.
2 assists, sorry. He got 2 assists. Sorry, I read it as Bailey. Oh my God. But I've not slept for 2 days, Jake.
No, I completely appreciate that, Ben, so don't worry. It's a massive loss, isn't it? I was going to say, Ben, the weekend's result sort of feels a little bit tainted by the news that's come out today that Louis Barry's going to go back. And look, he's been a real joy to watch. Stockport fans will be absolutely gutted because... and so I think Louis Barry will be gutted because Stockport's a place where he's really felt at home. He's had loan spells before in his career where it hasn't really worked out. You think of Swindon. He's been at MK Dons previously, Salford, Ipswich as well. It's not worked out for him. But at Stockport, and we say this sometimes, don't we, that players just suit certain clubs and certain systems. And that's why you can never really take the opinions of another team really. What I'm trying to say? You can't take them too seriously when you sign a player because you never know how that player is going to cope in your environment. But Louis Barry certainly thrives under Dave Challoner in the system that they play, the 4-2-3, when he plays on that left-hand side. And he's so dangerous. It's a mix of his agility, his decision-making is fantastic. Again, you saw that on Friday night with both assists for the goals. Really creative. And look, it's a massive loss for Stockport going forward. I know he'll play in the next 3 games. Boxing Day in between Boxing Day and New Year's, and then that final New Year's Day game. But he's going to be an absolute huge loss for them because they've got Louis Barry, Ben, was probably nearly on to score 30 goals so far this season. They've got to now go and sign someone really that's going to score 15 just to fill that void because how many times this year have Stockport had to turn to Louis Barry?
What he offers on the pitch as well, other than goals.
I'd be really interested to see if you take away Louis Barry's goal contributions, how many points Stockport are on, because I certainly don't think they'd be anywhere near where the position they are on the league table now. So, big loss for Stockport. They played really well on Friday night. They beat a Peterborough team that's sort of being spearheaded by your former boy nappers, Kean Hayes. He seems to be getting an opportunity at the moment at Peterborough, and he's really stepping up to the plate.
Really good assist the other day.
Really good assist, and I don't know, this Peterborough team, they're a bit like Marmite, aren't they, Ben? They're good one week and then horrific the next week. Like, I remember watching Malik Mothersill the other week. I thought he was like the next best thing, and then all of a sudden he drops a really poor game on Friday night. They are a bit inconsistent, and we've said this before. They're at the start of the cycle. They're not expected really to be a challenger this year. So, great win for Stockport, but I really think their weekend will be clouded by the news that Louis Barry will probably be going on loan to the Championship in January.
Yeah, losing Louis Barry's goals is going to be pivotal. I think that could be almost as pivotal if Freddie Draper left Lincoln. The goals that they'd lose as well.
Ben, don't be saying things like that. Go on loan.
Lincoln City 2, Reading 0. Before this one, Reading have just won one of their last 9 league away games before Reading. against Lincoln City as well. A 1-0 win at Sinclair Bank in 1985. And Reading have just won one of their 10 away trips against Lincoln City as well. Reading have conceded 21 goals across their Scabbard League One goals games this season, the most in any team throughout the division. 2 more than Shrewsbury, 3 more than Blackpool. Lincoln back to winning ways, and they needed to. They've not won for a little while. Didn't win in November. Been getting close to winning games like last week, but back to winning ways, and back with a win and a decent, performance from the main man Ethan Arahan.
We won a league game in December for the first time in 4 years, Ben. It feels amazing.
Is it?
Yeah. Honestly, it's been like a. I always dread this time of year, not only because it's Christmas and I've got to see my family, but also because we just don't win games. I know. Can you remember how I was last year, Ben, in December after we lost to Bolton, Derby, and Northampton? I was pretty much on the borderline of suicidal. Might have something to do with my ex-girlfriend as well, but it was nice. We played really well, probably one of the best performances of the season. We controlled the game, dominated the game. It was the first time we had more possession in quite a long time as well. Lots of players across the park you could have had as your man of the match. Arahan obviously getting the plaudits. I thought Rico Hackett was sensational. Jovan Makama playing as a wide right. Reading were really bad. They had one shot on target. They maybe could have had a penalty. There was an issue with Sam Smith. You see them given, and Sean Rowan had one last week at Huddersfield, which I thought he was fortunate to get away with. It's the same sort of incident, but really controlled, really professional, really good. Sees us back into the top 6, which is really nice as a Christmas gift because we were miles off the pace last year. Just a fantastic win, Ben. Really good, really back up to the levels where we've been at early season as well. Callum Martry scoring goals, which is really big. We need him to continue to score. Like I say, Jovan Makama, Ethan Arahan just showcasing his class, and Lewis Monsmer as well. The ball in for Rico's goal was absolutely sensational. So, there's not a lot to say. Thorough, professional, great win, and we're now going into Shrewsbury and Bolton with a lot of confidence. And hopefully we can look at a positive points return and still be in the top 6 by the time 2025 comes.
I said to him, and I said on these shows that Lincoln just needed to get through this difficult spell, just outside the playoffs, and they did that, to be fair to them. And now they got in with a victory yesterday as well, which is superb. And I know there's been more games played, but they put themselves, in the mix. Whether it's going to be 2 or 3 points off when everyone catches up on games as well. Mansfield 1, Rotherham 0. Mansfield ended a run of 7 league games without a victory with a 1-0 victory over Steve Evans' Rotherham United, their first win in League One since October. And this season in League One, Mansfield Town are the only team yet to concede from a corner. Even Steve Evans' set-piece team. Normally over the years, his team is very good from those situations. However, Rotherham United, 1 step forward. Again, 1 step back, it seems, really. I wouldn't even say they're making any sort of progress, if I'm going to be honest with you. Don't seem to be making any sort of ground in this division, really. They've won 3, they've won 2, lost 3 in the last 5. Away from home, though, really, really poor. Lost the last 4 away from home, which is not nice to see, really. And again, the 3rd worst away record in the league, only winning 1. That was away at Cambridge. 6 points collected, well off the standard. But for Mansfield, good victory. Well,
Rotherham will have one of the worst ever away records in the EFL, given they've won 1 away game in 2 years, Ben. And that was away at Cambridge, wasn't it, where Sam Nombe scored in the last minute. But again, really poor. They seem to be reliant on that home form to lift them up the table. And because when they go away from home, they're really, really poor. I think the positive shoots for Rotherham are Andre Green getting back and getting some minutes. He was a real big part for them. I think he will be a big part for them coming up for the second half of the season, because we know how technically good he can be. And when you've got Clark Harris, Nombe, and Wilkes alongside someone like Andre Green, they've probably got one of the best front fours in the league in terms of what they can actually achieve. But it's whether this manager actually has it within him to get the best out of them. And I'm not sure. You look at those players; they're pace, powerful, technically gifted as well. I'm not sure those traits are aligned with a Steve Evans team. But Mansfield, really resolute. They've been really good at home since coming into the league. Again, yesterday, I know they had to ride the look at on some occasions, certainly in that first half. But they scored when they were on top. Deji Oshalaja, I mean, it's horrific defending from a Rotherham point of view, but he capitalises on the poor defensive header and slots it into the corner. Yeah, Mansfield. I don't know how to feel about Mansfield. I think they would have taken this start at the start of the season in the top 10. Obviously, they're what are they now? They're only 3 points outside the playoffs, Ben, with 2 games in hand, so they're still technically in and amongst it. But what Mansfield will be looking at is that they're pretty much
Safety.
2/3 on. They're 2/3 on the way to safety, aren't they? They're on nearly 30 points now after 19 games. If they replicate that form in the second half of the season, which you can certainly see them doing, they'll be a League One team next year. I think any Mansfield fan would have taken that, back in June. So, yeah, really good win for Mansfield. Rotherham, where does this leave them? Absolutely no idea. I know they've got a couple of home games, haven't they, coming up? I think they've got Wigan on Boxing Day.
Doesn't matter because they can win at home. They'll go away and just be abject. They're the same team. Home and away, they are the same team. And they don't adapt to being away from home.
Yes, I know, but they're playing at home, aren't they? Which I know it shouldn't matter, Ben.
Sorry.
I know it shouldn't matter, but they're playing at home, and they've got Wigan and Stockport, which they stand a chance of getting some points over the festive period because they're playing at home. I know I don't get it either, Ben, because I've seen teams where it's the other way around and can only play away from home rather than at home. So it swings and roundabouts. Rotherham need to improve that away record. I don't know if it's psychological, whether the players allow the home crowd to get on top of them too easily, or what the crack is, but they need to find the root cause of that. And if they stand any chance of getting out of this division, probably not this year, but maybe even next year, it looks to be a strong league as well. They're going to have to fix that because you cannot get promoted on just a good home record.
Yeah, 100%. Next up, Wigan 2, Shrewsbury 2, and it had it all, didn't it, this game? And Wigan, again, I'm finding them a bit very hit and miss, but that's what I think this team are. They'll have the good days, they'll have the bad days. And again, 2-0 up in this one. Tello Asgard again.
Who? Tello Asgard.
I'm not set for 2 days. Opening the scoring. And Gareth Ainsworth said after the game, the boy's a joke. He's unbelievable and will play at a higher level. And you just love watching him play. That's the type of guy Gareth Ainsworth is. Before Dale Taylor added to his collection of, well, not many goals, and added his 4th goal of the season. And the late show for Shrewsbury, Will Aimson put it into the back of his own goal before Lloyd got the equaliser, and George Lloyd, the 24-year-old. Late point for Gareth Ainsworth. 4 games in now, a win. And a draw and a couple of defeats in there as well. Still conceding goals. Gareth Ainsworth came out after the game and was delighted with the spirit. Praised the fans for coming on the last Saturday and made the noise and got them back into the game. He felt inspired, he said, by the travelling support as well. Building that connection up with supporters. And even if they do go down, you do feel like they're going to get, back up with him. They are 9 points adrift now, which is a big deduction as well. Shrewsbury, normally they're the team that concede goals from winning positions. 13 points drop from winning positions. So it's good to see them gaining a point from a losing situation as well. And for the second time this season, Jay, Wigan 2-0 up in a game and they draw the game 2-2. Can you tell me who they also drew? Away from home, Sky, Monday night.
Blackpool.
Correct. Well done.
That was a good guess. Yeah, I mean, Wigan started the game off really well, and Shrewsbury were absolutely nowhere near them, and they rightfully got themselves in front, like you mentioned, through Asgard and Dale Taylor. But 2-0 is always a dangerous scoreline, Ben, isn't it? I mean, you'll know that so far this season. I know that after last week. And if you concede one soft goal, you're going to tend to go on and concede another. And the man that I thought made the difference for Shrewsbury was Tom Bloxham, coming on that right-hand side, obviously coming through the Shrewsbury ranks. Caused a lot of issues down that left-hand side for Wigan. Both goals just uses his power and his pace to brush past the fullback and put a ball into a dangerous area. And the first one, when Aimson turns into his own net, I don't think Aimson can really do anything else. But the second goal, it's a mistake from Sam Tickle because he spills the ball straight into the path of George Lloyd, who makes a really intelligent run. So they'll be delighted. I still have concerns about Shrewsbury keeping clean sheets. Obviously, they've only kept 1 all season. That'll probably change on Boxing Day. Knowing, 3-0 win. And this is what I mean. Certainly, to link this back to Burton, maybe. I know, because it looks like Burton and Shrewsbury are going to be 2 of the 4 teams that go down. Gareth Ainsworth is someone that I would completely back to get Shrewsbury back at this level within a year, whereas Gary Bowyer maybe wouldn't be. That's how much I put on Gareth Ainsworth and his ability. He's got promoted out of that level.
Different in terms of attitude and listening.
Exactly. Yeah.
Gary Bowyer is a bit like, no offense, a bit of a boring old English teacher. But Gareth Ainsworth is like cool.
He's a cool guy, isn't he? Yeah. Or the fun music.
He's like the media. He reminds me very much of my old performance arts at school teacher. That he'd be the type of teacher that would, if you had a bag of sweets, he wouldn't be the type that would bend over, take them up and put it on his desk. He'd put his hand in the packet, grab a couple of sweets, and you'd be like, "Are you sure we're allowed them?" He goes, "If I'm allowed a couple, you have as many as you like." He's that type of guy. He's Gareth Ainsworth.
Absolutely. Great.
I love him.
Great.
He's brilliant.
Great result. Also to mention they brought in Jamal Blackman to replace Toby Savin, who ironically wasn't saving anything this season.
I know, I was about to make that joke.
So he's come in and he instantly was instated as number 1. So we're intrigued to see how that situation plays out. But I think they've got us and Northampton at home over the festive period. That's 2 games that they might well be looking at, thinking we can probably maybe take 4 points if we do really well. That Northampton game is a really big game for them if they can claw back some distance on the Cobblers. So, yeah, really good positive. But so far in his reign, there's only been 2 real positives, that and the Birmingham game, really. So, intrigued to see how that one plays out.
Bristol Rovers, managerless Bristol Rovers, took on Wrexham, who got their 13th point away from home this season as well. Away from home, been hit and miss, 3 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats. Matty James's brilliant ball through for Elliot Lee to slide home in that first half to get the goal and get his 6th goal of the season. A brilliant ball from Matty James as well, the signing earlier on this season. Before Promise Cherry, who has promised goals in the past and comes up to terms off the bench. Promise, a really good player off the bench. Promise off the bench and Promise starting a game are 2 completely different players. But off the bench, he comes and he makes a massive impact, and you think, oh my God, he makes his team so much better. He's strong, he's physical, he's fit, hold the ball up stronger. He's agile, can score a goal, looks threatening. When he starts the game, he doesn't have the same impact. I don't know what Bristol Rovers fans thinks of that. But yeah, David Horseman again taking the reins on this one as well, yet to win a game. When taking obviously charge early in the season. For Matty Taylor as well. Thomas coming off the bench as well and making the assist as well. His 3rd assist of the season. Overall, Jake, decent point for Bristol Rovers. Had to come from behind. However, you look at it, for Birmingham, Wycombe have dropped points. Birmingham can win tomorrow and go top of the table for the first time in a little while. Wrexham also drew. Huddersfield won. Obviously, Stockport won. The teams below them won, but the teams around them all dropped points. So Bristol Rovers, that's a decent point, especially with Rotherham, losing the game of football. Northampton losing. Crawley haven't played. Burton lost. Shrewsbury lost. Decent point away from the drop zone.
Yeah, it was a good point, and I remember I've watched Josh's video on it. I think they were quite fortunate. Wrexham maybe could have had more than one in the first half, but Bristol Rovers stuck with it, and probably Promise Cherry gets his reward right at the end. It's a quite poor defending, quite bizarre defending from Ryan Barnett to let the ball bounce, and I think it's Luke Thomas who's back in the team following a bit of a spell out due to issues with the hierarchy, and he sets up Promise Cherry who heads in, and Ben, we all know that when Promise Cherry has no time to think about it, he'll slip the ball away, and he did that really well. But yeah, really good point considering how good Wrexham have been. Certainly defensively, I can imagine that once Wrexham had gone 1-0 up, they were backing themselves to keep that clean sheet and win 2-0 yet again. But really good result from Bristol Rovers, after losing 3 on the bounce, without a manager. The manager that they wanted has, he's been turned down for a work permit. So it feels like the world's against Bristol Rovers at the moment. But it was a really good point for them. And like we say, it takes them just that little bit further away from the drop zone. It would mean Crawley would have to win their game in hand to jump Bristol Rovers, but there's no guarantee that Crawley are going to beat Birmingham tomorrow night. So, yeah, good point for Gas.
If you could like the show, also subscribe if you haven't already as well. It would be greatly appreciated. Lots of content coming, lots of membership content coming. If you fancy becoming a member as well, you could do that on the channel by pressing join, but press subscribe as well. It's free to do so. Wycombe 0, Bolton 0. Very quickly on these 2-0 draws. Wycombe have scored 15 goals from set pieces yet this season. Again, didn't really threaten the other day from one. However, again, with a better side, Bolton went, I think, an expected goal of 0.30. Didn't really threaten anything. They've only lost 3 of the last 14 of Bolton Wanderers, scoring 26 goals in that period. But again, against sides above them and around them, not good enough at all. And going into these games to not lose, shouldn't be Bolton Wanderers, but a good point for Wycombe.
Yeah, well, this is the game that I decided to watch when I got home from my work Christmas party, and it sent me to sleep.
They invited you, did they?
They did this year, which was nice of them. Yeah, no, it was tough. It was a tough watch, to be honest. No team had really any clear-cut chances. The game was played in the middle of the park. Not a lot to say that. Like I say, no chances. I think it's a better point for Bolton than it is for Wycombe. Going away to Wycombe, who are a really good side at Adams Park, certainly recently. It was a good point for Bolton. Wycombe will be frustrated because they'll know now that they've almost handed the initiative back to Blues to jump above them for the title. So, yeah, it was a poor game. Not a huge amount of quality. One that I felt was spoilt a little bit by the referee as well, with his constant blowing of the whistle, pulling up for the slightest of fouls. And when a game gets like that, it becomes very difficult to watch and also to play in. So, yeah, it was a good draw for Bolton, who I think they've got Barnsley and Lincoln over the festive period, so they'll be backing themselves to get 6 points and jump well back into that top 6 conversation.
The last game, Blackpool 0, Stevenage 0. Stevenage have lost one of their last 10 league games against sides from Lancashire, winning 5, drawing 4. Previously drawing to Fleetwood Town, also 0-0 back in back in March. Blackpool failed to win any of their last 5 Sky Bet League One home games, drawing 4, losing 1. Last and drawing a longer run at Bloomfield Road back in November 2022 to February 2023, where they went 7 games without a victory as well. No side have scored fewer goals in League One this season. Stevenage on 15. When they're on it, Stevenage, they look okay, but too many times they're not conceding. I think they actually didn't score at Blackpool last year as well. I think did they lose 3-0 last year, I think, at Blackpool. Whilst the Borough have also failed to score in 5 of their last 7 league outings. Decent point, but again, another drab affair for Stevenage.
Yeah, there's not a lot to add there, Ben. It's a good point for Stevenage on the road. They've been poor on the road so far this year. We were both anticipating the Blackpool win based on our prediction last week, but neither side created a lot. I think there was a shout for Stevenage penalty right at the end, which wasn't given, but there's not a lot to report on this game, mate. It's a good point away for Stevenage. Blackpool, I feel maybe it's an opportunity missed, certainly given their proximity to the top 6 at this minute in time. They'll feel like they've lost a little bit of ground. So, yeah, it was a bit of a drab affair.
Predictions, Jakey boy.
Yeah, so it depends on how we're playing this, Ben. So I know there's games on Boxing Day, and then which is Thursday, and there's also games on the Sunday.
I can do a show on the 27th. Can you?
Depending on what the crack is. Okay, well,
let's do Boxing Day. We can do a show before or the 28th. We'll do a show.
Okay.
1 or 2 days.
So far this week, we've both got 5 points so far. Both getting 1 correct score each. Do you know which score you got bang on? I got the Stockport Peterborough score spot on. And bear in mind, you changed your prediction for this halfway through because you were about to say 3-0, but you changed it.
2-0, Lincoln?
No, you went for 1-1. Bristol Rovers Wrexham. You said there was going to be a new manager in the dugout, and that would give them a little bit of inspiration. So we're both on 5 points for the week, which means the gap remains.
We've got Birmingham and Crawley to go yet. 3-0 Blues.
If that wants to end 3-1 to Birmingham, that would be absolutely delicious. Still means that the gap between me and Ben at the moment is 9 points, with Ben on 172 and me on 163. So we're The gap's it's close because it was nearly. I think it was 25 points a couple of weeks ago. So
Don't bottle it in apples.
Don't bottle in apples. Should we do some? You're going first for this week, so should we get started?
Yeah.
For Boxing Day, for such a traditional game. Where are you on Boxing Day, Ben?
Home. Thankfully.
Yeah. What do you feel about that? Because I know they try and make everyone play. Who are you playing at home?
Chesterfield at home.
It's sort. They try and keep it like within close proximity, don't they? Like Chesterfield, I can understand. Maybe it's a little bit in the north. It's not that northern, but like
no.
I mean, we're away at Shrewsbury, which is a bit of a joke considering it's like 3 hours away. Anyway, not the point. Orient versus Crawley, Ben.
Would have been better having Huddersfield, wouldn't you, this time? Orient against who? Shrewsbury?
No, we're playing Shrewsbury, mate. Orient versus Crawley.
2-1, Leyton Orient.
Yeah, I'll go 2-0. Good game at the John Smiths, Huddersfield versus Stockport County.
2-0 Huddersfield. How are you going to go for that?
No, I think Stockport score. I'm going to go Huddersfield 2, Stockport 1. Blues versus Burton, sold out.
3-0 Birmingham.
I'm going to go Birmingham. Oh, is it going to be tie or are they going to absolutely wipe the floor with them? I'm going to go tie. I'm going to go Birmingham 2, Burton 0. I think it's a bit closer. Bolton versus Barnsley, Ben. A repeat of the playoff semi-final from last year.
1-1.
1-1. I'm going to go Bolton 2, Barnsley 1. Charlton versus Cambridge.
2-1, Charlton.
I'm going to go. This game finished 2-2 last year, didn't it? So I'm going to back a Desmond. I'm going to go 2-2. Exeter versus Bristol Rovers.
2-1 Exeter.
I'm going to go for 1 apiece. 1 apiece. 1 apiece. Reading versus Northampton.
2-0 Reading.
I'm going to go 1-0 Reading. Peterborough versus Mansfield, Ben.
2-1 Peterborough.
2-1 Peterborough. I'm going to go 2-0 Peterborough. Rotherham versus Wigan at the New York.
New York. Rotherham against who?
Wigan.
1-0 Rotherham.
2-1 Rotherham would be my prediction. Shrewsbury versus the pesky Imps, Ben.
1-0 Imps.
I was going to go 2-1 Lincoln. Stevenage versus Wycombe.
2-0 Wycombe.
You're going to go 2. I'm going to go Stevenage 1, Wycombe 1. And finally, Wrexham versus Blackpool.
2-0 Wrexham.
I'm going to go 1-0 Wrexham. But can you see what I mean, Ben? You look at those games, right? Orient Crawley, local. Huddersfield Stockport, local. Birmingham Burton, local. Bolton Barnsley, fairly local. Charlton Cambridge, it's not a million miles away. Exeter Bristol Rovers, just down the M5. Reading Northampton, maybe that's a bit of a trek. Peterborough Mansfield, straight down the A1. Rotherham Wigan, just down the M62.
Who would you want to play?
I quite like Mansfield because it's local, or Burton, or Huddersfield, or Peterborough. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. It just seems like they're maybe not considerate of fans, but maybe I shouldn't moan because they did pay us. So what can I say?
Yeah, that contract. Scab at League One table. Let's go through it very quickly as well.
I agree.
It is Christmas, and we said we'll have a look. Shrewsbury Town make up the bottom of the table with just 12 points. However, getting 4 points in their last 4, and only 8 points in their previous 16. Burton Albion also on 12 points. They seem to get away for each other, then also keep dragging to each other as well. 5-point buffer between themselves and Cambridge. Crawley on 19 points with a game in hand. A victory for the Red Devils tomorrow can actually take them leapfrogging Bristol Rovers in 19th as well. That bottom area, Jake, how do you see it ending? Because I could see that bottom four pretty much the same, but I think Northampton might slip in. I think Bristol Rovers will slide away and stay in the division.
All right, Liam and Noel Gallagher, slide away.
Slide away, slide away.
I think, I think it's 4 from 5, Ben. I think you look at the teams above: Exeter, Stevenage, Leyton, Orient, Peterborough, Wigan, Rotherham, Bristol Rovers, probably all too good to find themselves relegated. So I think it's going to be one team from the bottom 5 that stays up. Wouldn't surprise me if it stays the way it does, depending on the appointment that the Cobblers do, really, isn't it? It feels like such maybe one of the biggest ever appointments in the club's history. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, certainly those 5 down the bottom have been pretty dross this year, and you'd imagine it'll be 4 of them that end up in League Two again.
And then you've got Wigan, Peterborough, who look miles off. 10 defeats now for Peterborough is, again, involving 75 goals in 20 games, which is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, they look off it. They look off it, but they look off it, but they're still like miles ahead of the bottom 5, aren't they?
Oh, aye. Leyton, Orient, Stevenage, and Exeter, again, solid, and Blackpool. Recent form is improving, but still off it. They are Blackpool, including that graphic. Charlton, 27 points, 4 points offside the playoffs now. Again, only lost 1 in the last 5. Things are slowly turning, and I think Nathan Jones is the right man to lead them forward. I don't think a promotion will happen this year, but could see it, really building towards something. Mansfield, again, a couple of games in hand, you never know. I think 9th upwards, but you look at it how poor League One's between 5th and 9th, and no disrespect to Stockport, who won half the games. Let's see after Stockport, then, between Lincoln, Reading, Bolton, Barnsley, those 4 sides. Bolton Wanderers, I've won, yes, half the games, but you look at the record against sides above them. Yes, they beat Reading. They've not played Lincoln yet. Lost to Stockport, lost to Huddersfield, drew to Wrexham, lost to Birmingham, drew to Wycombe. Yet to beat a side inside the playoffs. Reading looks so off it and look a totally different team out without the manager now, which is lot you haven't won yet. Lincoln haven't really got going, and yes, they slowly got. You look at it, Jake, as well. That run, start with a couple of draws like I did last time. You never know. You never know. Inside the playoffs, I just feel like that maybe that last 2 playoff spots, especially with Louis Barry going, could be anyone's.
Yeah, I think you're looking at 2 from 5. Would that be fair to say? Because I'm not massively confident that Reading are going to stick about, given that I don't think Noel Hunt was the right appointment. It might have felt like the right appointment. I don't think he's going to be the right appointment if they want to finish in the top 6. I think it's going to be, well, maybe in that case 2 from 4 then, with Stockport, Lincoln, Bolton and Barnsley. I don't know, maybe Blackpool might come from the middle of nowhere. Charlton, I know Orient obviously have got games in hand, has of Stevenage below them. So intrigued to see how that battle plays out. But certainly, you're looking at 2 from them 4, certainly at the moment. And to be honest, given the games in hand and things like that, you probably your 2 favourites are probably Stockport and Bolton. I know they're not playing massively well at the moment, Bolton, but they're level on points with 2 games to play. They could be on 13. They could be up with Huddersfield, Ben, when they've played level games nearly. So it's tricky. It's exciting, and it's just nice to be a part of.
It's just all the drama, Jake. I just love it. Sky Bet League One. Right, last few minutes. Any questions? Get them in below. Please like, please subscribe. We're at 41 likes. Big push. Let's get to 50 before we end. 9 likes away. Press that like button. Press subscribe. We are let's try and see if we can get 6,200 by the end of this year. About 120 away, 125 away. Press subscribe. It would mean a lot to me as well. Didn't think a show was going to go ahead tonight, but thankfully we are here as well. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate that. It means a lot. Richard, thank you so much. Watching Leyton, Orient, putting on a show. I'm not a massive drinker, so I can't really comment.
I started on Friday, and that's the reason I'm feeling ill. So I shall be doing this. No, I had a lot more than 3. I had 3 by the time dinner was served. So hopefully not a lot of drink to be consumed, because I have a lot of driving to do over Christmas as well. So we'll see how that goes on. There's 2 videos on it. There's a YouTube video and there's a TikTok. So go and check them out.
If you haven't gone and checked my TikTok, the question about Birmingham before, I'll do a video on Birmingham on TikTok tomorrow as well. I hope you all have a lovely Christmas. Thank you so much for joining me. Jake, have a lovely Christmas, mate.
And you, mate. I know times are going to be tough for you given the circumstances. So I would very much like to make you aware that my phone will always be on, even if it's Christmas Day and I'm having dinner with my family. If you ring me, I will step away to speak to you, because I know how difficult it's going to be for you this year. So, yeah, hopefully, hopefully everyone in the stream currently will have a wonderful Christmas with their families and gets all the presents that they want and enjoys the time spent together with their families, because it's really precious. So, yeah, thank you very much for your support so far this year, and looking forward to closing out 2024, hopefully with another couple of good shows as well.
Yeah, we should have a show 27th or the 28th, and then possibly one on the 30th, something like that. All being well here on COD Vlogs. Thank you so much. Please like. We're 2 likes away from 50. Please subscribe. It would help boost the numbers. And until next time, I will see you later.
Merry Christmas.
So this is Christmas, so what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun.
I want to go to bed.